Anna Ondrish. She is in a quality assurance field for she was 20 years, and she currently is the owner of QS Strategy LLC. Anna, please, we want to know like your story. How did you become a QM manager? How did you get into a QM manager? Can you tell this?
Yeah. Okay. So there's 20 years of history. So, hold on. It's going to take me a minute. Uh, I originally started out working for an insurance company, customer service. And so I guess my managers saw that I had some critical thinking skills, some attention to details. So they had this ledger that they wanted to be cleared every month. And so when I got it, it was like 3 pages long. And I went ahead, made all the phone calls, figured out where the money was supposed to go, cleared all the client policies, and really proved that I could, use my critical thinking skills, my attention to detail, and actually complete what they were asking me to do, which, was really great. They had an IT department in their company, and the VP asked me to apply. So I did. I went for the interview and I had no idea what I was applying for. It was a quality assurance analyst position, and I had no idea what I was walking into. But they liked me and they gave me a chance.
Hey, about this transition, because quality QA analyst, it's a little bit more technical, right? How did you get this? How do you fill this gap, or like, did you have this gap in technical skills? Like, can you tell this one?
Oh, yes, I had a gap. There was a gap because I quickly found out that I didn't know anything about technology and I didn't understand how we were building things and how all of the pieces work together when they would give me bug fix or a new feature or some new piece of functionality. I didn't know how to test it. What all of the, what did integration mean? What did system testing mean? We were putting it on staging and then we were going to production. I didn't understand any of that. And really, there's no school for that, right? There's no quality assurance school for that. So what I did was I went to back to school. I went to Strayer University for programming. Because you know what, I'm just going to jump right over testing and I'm going to go right for the programming. But there was nothing else. And so I went through these classes learning about how to program. I learned about, object-oriented testing. I'm going to date myself, it's visual basics. But I loved it. It was really great because, I was learning as I was going in the classes, and then I was able to take those skills and use them for my testing. Use them in quality assurance. And then I just built on it. And then when I graduated, a lot of people asked me, are you going to be a programmer? Because I was doing really well and really understanding what I was learning and how the programming worked. But I said, no, I didn't want that. I wanted to stay in quality assurance. And that was early in my career, but I really felt like I could take the skills that I had learned and really use them and apply them to quality assurance. So there was a gap, and there was a few years of learning by the school of hard knocks. I had to ask a lot of questions. I was very grateful that that job I had there, and then I had left there and gone to Thomson Financial, and there the developers that I worked with, they were so kind and they really wanted me to succeed and they really wanted to help me. And because my questions to them were not, surfacey questions, they were more in-depth questions of how the functionality was working, of, even with Thomson Financial, I learned a lot about database testing. Well, and then even after Thomson Financial, I went to AutoScribe, which was a small local company. And there we had no tools to help us troubleshoot any client complaints that came in. We had to be able to run queries through SQL to troubleshoot. And so at Thomson Financial, I had learned the database and that whole structure and how that all works. Then in AutoScribe, I was able to take that. And now I was running complex queries to do my testing, because I had learned it from using it with the customer complaints. it was learning the hard way, but
It's worth it.
um,
It's worth it.
it was such great times. It really was.
Awesome, awesome. So you went from QA analyst to test engineer during this time frame when you were studying in school, right? I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And then when I graduated, and then I had learned the database and the SQL, and then I started with API testing. I think I was at Thomson Reuters, I think I was. They made me the lead of a project. So I had my teammates who I was tasking them with different pieces of functionality within the product. And then I was leading the project or QA lead.
Mm-hmm.
I still had hands-on testing. I was still utilizing all of my skills. I was still helping, answering questions, working with my teammates. But that was it for the QA lead portion.
Yeah, obviously, like it's more responsibility in terms of like now you're leading the project or projects, right? And besides, you are hands-on on testing as well. What was like
Yeah.
the ratio between you were hands-on and also do leading stuff?
Well, with the QA lead, I kind of found it a little bit difficult because, right? So I'm leading the project. I'm helping to lead people and giving them tasks. And they do have deadlines because we have an overall deadline and we had a manager, but where's the responsibility end for me, right? Because I know that work needs to be done and I'm tasking them, and we are all professionals and they're getting the work done. But if it's not the quality that I want, or as fast as I want, or completed like I wanted, I would not really say anything. That's the manager's job because they manage. I would just try to lead and guide the people to get the tasks completed.
Gotcha. And actually, this is my next question, right? How did you become a QA manager, and what changed in your responsibilities, right?
When I went to QA manager, I was working at the local company at AutoScribe, and I was working on quality assurance. So what immediately changed was the fact that now all of the people that my teammates that now became my subordinates reported to me. So I would have to, manage them in the sense of, their annual reviews, their, any PTO, sick leave, any of those types of issues. I would need to work on those while also being some hands-on and leading and directing. So there was more responsibility. Now, one thing that really worked out well when I became a manager, after about a year, we had some shifts in the company, and our VP of technology needed someone to manage the client services department. And so he asked me, would I be able to handle that as well, doing the quality assurance and the client services? And I was ecstatic because here I am now getting to go back to client services, where I felt that I had a passion to manage and help that department to grow. So I took that, and then I had both departments. And, as a manager, you have to hire, you have to have some disciplinary actions sometimes, have some really difficult conversations. So those were not fun, but I did learn a lot.
How did you manage this situation when as you mentioned, your peers became your subordinates? Like,
That's always.
I guess it was kind of tough, right? It's always like not easy.
It's not that it's hard or it's easy. It's just different. There's a time period where you have to allow some understanding and some growth to happen, between yourself and these people that used to be your teammates. And so I learned, and I did it really from the beginning, was really don't make any changes. keep everything the same. Allow people to be vocal about what they liked, what they didn't like, what they want to see changed. Look for the low-hanging fruit, things that you can quickly give them to show them that we are a team, that I'm here for them. I'm not now the manager, look at me, and you're my subordinates, so you will do what I say. That's not the type of environment that I ever wanted, nor do I think I ever cultivated. So it's really important. And then, to be able to have that balance and have that ear to listen to people.
Awesome, awesome. And let's go for the next step. Now you were a manager. How did you went to a director role?
The company before the company that I have now, I was working for a custom software development company. And I actually, at that company, I went from QA lead to QA manager. Even though I had been a manager, I had to go back to lead. And then I went to the director of quality assurance. So when I made that change, they did not fill in the QA manager position. So I was the director. And really not a whole lot changed for me there in the sense of the QA team, because they still needed to be tasked. They still needed to work on projects. But what I did was I knew my team. I knew who I was working with. So I looked at their strengths, and then I tried to pull from those strengths to fill in some of those QA manager roles that were not being completed, that I knew I wasn't going to have time to do, to give them something to work towards and get the tasks accomplished, which was great because people like to be challenged. They like to work towards something that's, can show advancement, can show that they have initiative. But then as the director, right, then now I also have to work with other directors and with more of the leadership and the executive team within the company, right? I need to understand the bigger picture, the company goals, and how my team, is going to work to meet the goals of the company more than just when I was the QA manager.
Yeah, interesting.
It's a big task.
Got it. So
I think it was a big task, but I loved it. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but I loved it. It was great. It really did allow for me to step back and see the bigger picture of the company as a director. I was able to understand at a higher level, what was happening in the dev team, what was happening for the business analysts and the product managers, and what were their pain points. And, as I learned their pain points, I was like, well, we're doing this over here in QA. I know if we tweaked it a little bit, that could help you, right? So it really gave me a bigger picture to the whole company and what was happening.
got it. So in other words, in director role, you were more involved, like in overall bigger strategy picture, involving communication, probably more clear communication between departments and the product. And when you were a manager, it was more towards to quality of the product, to the strategy of the product. Am I right?
Yes.
Got it. Awesome. And but I guess from managerial, when you became a manager, then you actually have the power of hiring and firing, right?
Yes. Yeah. And those can be big and heavy tasks.
Let's talk about it a little bit, about hiring and firing. Let's start with the firing. Did you did you
Okay.
did you ever faced when you had to people let go?
Yes. Yes.
What
Yes. And
what was the majority reason, like when you need to people let go?
we had an individual who was working there for a long time. He just, or the person couldn't, SQL skills was a big something that you really needed to be able to complete your job.
Right.
And this person just was not willing to learn it sufficiently for their job. And so there was another, team member of a higher, rank who was helping the person, but really not helping them, really was actually doing the work, giving them the information. And then that person would send out the emails, and get the credit for having completed it. But I needed the higher ranking team member to do other work, but they were saying they were too busy. They didn't have time. Well, so, okay, what are you working on? Tell me. Let me hear what you're saying, what you're working on. I'm not trying to micromanage, but I need to know. And then I come to find out they were helping the other person. So then I went to the other person and said, okay, we're going to need to ramp up your skills, because I need you to be responsible for this area, not this other person. And we gave him ample time to get up to speed with his abilities.
How long it was?
It was 6
Oh
months.
wow, yeah, definitely. It's
It
it's
was
more than enough.
6 months. It was more than enough time. And it wasn't only just, here's the time, get it done. It's every month, let's look at what you've been doing. All right, how's it going? Do you need any more help from us? Is there anything else we can do for you? We were even willing to, if you didn't have time to study these things at night, we'll give you an hour, 2 hours every day just for that. Right. And there was no drive. The person didn't want to learn it. They didn't want to be responsible for that because it was difficult.
It is a big, big difference between when person want to do this, or he just, he should be probably glad to you that it's just time for switching company or job or maybe direction. Maybe he wasn't passionate about it anymore. And
Yeah.
why? I mean, it's a really good example. Like as I said, ideally, especially in the technology, it's a good to switch companies or switch projects every like 2-3 years at least. Like, but not
Yes.
longer than that. If you really get used to one project, to one specific task, well, you're not developing your skills anymore. You're not developing. It won't help. It will hurt your career, right?
Oh, absolutely. If you become complacent, it shows. After a while, it shows. And, I want to say like in this day and age, but it really doesn't matter. 20 years ago, the same thing. If you became complacent, having that mindset of, they're not going to get rid of me. I've been here forever. It's not gonna happen. But one thing is, I truly do believe that I have always tried to give ample opportunity and be available and to give resources, time. If you need time, whatever's needed for you to learn it. Because I know with myself, right? I went to school and I had people in my jobs that helped me and wanted to see me succeed. It's the same thing. But if you don't want to help yourself, then we have nothing to talk about.
Exactly. Nobody can help you if you don't want to be helped. That's it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great, Anna. Thank you. What about hiring? Like what you were looking into person skills, his soft hard skills, like when you were hiring. What was the most important?
Yeah. So I want to say that, hiring is the fun part, but you know what? It's also quite difficult because, you put out a job description and you were inundated with resumes, and you really, as a manager, as a director or manager, I really always wanted to look at all of the resumes, but that's not always the best use of your time. So you might have somebody else that will vet the resumes for you. You'll tell them what you're looking for. Maybe it's HR, maybe it's your QA lead or your QA manager if you're a director, but, and then get the ones that are the best and then reach out to the people. So the types of things that I was looking for in a resume or from a candidate when I was interviewing is, really, because quality assurance does not have a college degree. It does not have even certificate program, but you do have certifications. So if you have those certifications, that's number one. Not that I think you need to have them in order to get a job in quality assurance or to stay in quality assurance, but it kind of shows that you do have the knowledge, so you might stand out over somebody else. But really, if you have worked in quality assurance, if you have, the skills I look for is critical thinking, problem solving, attention to detail. Have you worked with APIs? What types of industries have you worked in? Because that does matter. And so those are the skills that I look for. And then when I interview with people and I get them talking, I like to know what are some of the pain points that you've had as a quality assurance engineer to get them to talk about. How'd you work with business analysts? Did you ever have conflict with them? How'd you resolve it? Developers, project or product managers, and then I try to, I like to know if you have been with a product from maybe inception to all the way to production, and then maybe some more iterations of that product. That shows that you possibly understand the whole life cycle of product development, and then get you talking about specifics within the software development life cycle. What happens if the dates slip and you're given them, we are agile, so you should be testing within the sprints. So what are your sprints? What is your testing? What if the testing doesn't happen? Tell me about how, what especially about the other departments. Knowing about quality assurance, knowing about testing is one thing, and it is needed. But what do you know about business analysts? What should they be doing? What should they be providing for you? What questions can you ask them? Should you ask them? And what type of a relationship should you have with them? Because those are all important things too.
Got it. Yeah, definitely. And would you be able to draw the portrait of ideal candidate, like for example, for QA engineering position or a test engineer?
The ideal candidate would have already some quality assurance experience, hopefully worked in the industry that you're applying for, have some automation skills. Everybody wants automation these days, right? We still need the manual testing, which should happen very quickly. But once software is solid and repeatable and you're going to keep it, then you need to automate it, right? That can be all of the same person. So that, you want the automation to happen because the functionality and you've just tested it and it's working. So you automate it. So some automation skills are definitely highly recommended. Again, the critical thinking, the problem solving, the attention to detail, the ability to learn, to be a team player. Those are important.
Are you looking into resume, like for person? And this is actually, I got asked like a lot of time. Some managers, they're looking like if the person is switching jobs often or not. Like, did you pay attention on that, or like you?
That never really bothered me if they were switching often, or even if they have a gap in their resume. I ask, hey, what's going on? Where are you? Why did you move around so much? What was happening? What was the gap about? But no, I've never let that hinder me from hiring somebody.
What was the red flag for you then?
The red flag is definitely if they can't answer my questions and they don't have much experience in being able to work with other people and understand the software development life cycle. Now I get it. People get nervous. I get it. That's why I try to do a first screening over the phone, have some conversation. The way I like to do it is, have the conversation, talk on the phone just for a few minutes, so that you hear my voice, I hear your voice. Then I will email you because, I will email you, or me or somebody else. I'll have them email you, some questions, tell you to look at our website, to gather your questions, to understand our domain and what products we work with, and then, to come on in with the interview. If you come in on the interview and I ask you, so what did you like about our company website? And you don't have much to say, even though that's not QA related. But I told you in the email to look over our website and get your questions together. And then I ask you what you thought, and you don't have any information about it. Or you say, I didn't even look at it. Well, that's kind of a red flag, because I gave you a task and you didn't do it. And it was an easy one.
That is very helpful. That is very helpful. And yeah, please, guys, you should take notes, especially right now. Anna, what about now? Like, where are you at? Can you tell what are you doing at this moment?
Yeah, so back in July of 2021, I left my full-time position and I started my own company. So I started QA Strategy LLC. And primarily, I started it to be a quality assurance consultant in the software development industry. And I still am in that field. And I do have a client that's in that industry. I can come in and consult and help with strategies for testing, for QA, hiring, and anything that goes along with the manager type of a role. I can also help build out QA departments, because I've done that twice in my career, where I've gone into a company where they had no quality assurance and I had to build it out from scratch. So I can help companies with that as well. But then also there's areas where I don't have the expertise. You might need someone to do web accessibility testing, and I don't have that specialty, but I can get someone for you to fill in that gap and help get that testing completed. So I am still in that field. But one of the wonderful things that has opened up for me, which I never thought would happen, but I had met with a client for what I thought was quality assurance in software, because that's how the job description read. But after talking to them for just a few minutes, I realized it was not. It was more quality improvement or compliance for a mental health agency. And so I immediately told them I really don't have that, any expertise in mental health, or, maybe what you're looking for, but, we could talk a little bit longer. And I had gone for to step in as their quality assurance analyst. And, after talking with them and them realizing my skill set, they were like, hey, could you come in and be our coordinator for our projects? So I was like, sure. So basically I went in and then I got them all organized, because it's not software projects, but they are still projects. And so I got them organized, got their team set up. And then I'm not kidding you, within 3 weeks, they asked me to be the manager of the department. So right now, QA Strategy LLC is partnering with CARF accredited mental health agencies to help keep them accredited.
Awesome. Anna,
Yeah.
what made you to leave your full-time job to start your own company and do consulting business?
Well, I had wanted to do it, and I had actually, while I was working full-time, I had kind of toyed with the idea and had started thinking about it and looking into it. And really, that's the direction I wanted to go in, and was fortunate that in July of 2021, the custom software development company that I was working for decided that they didn't need in-house quality assurance. And so they eliminated my position, which at first I was a little bit devastated, but then quickly realized what a blessing it was. Not that I disliked where I was working, not that I didn't want to be there, but something was happening, and I knew where I really wanted to be. And so, within a week or two, I was able to just jump into my own company and really just put my whole heart into that, to getting that up and running.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Anna. I truly wish you good luck. It's an interesting, very inspiring story. How people
Thank
can
you.
find out about you, how they can get
Yeah.
connected to
Really,
you.
right now, the best way to connect is through LinkedIn. That would be the best way to connect.
Awesome, guys. We'll include Anna's LinkedIn in our profile, in our description, and please connect to Anna. Anna, thank you for your time for today's session. It was really inspiring, and we'll definitely will keep in touch with you. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.